Box Elder County. Got a junk car? Here's where it goes now. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan is stepping up, serving Brigham City, Tremont, Willard, Corinne, Garland, and across northern Utah and southern Idaho. They pay top dollar for vehicles and scrap metal, and they'll haul it away for you. Fast, easy, and you get paid. Take the quick drive to Valley View Highway or just make the call, 787-1204. That's 787-1204. DD Auto and Salvage, northern Utah and southern Idaho's go-to for junk car cash.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without a homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And we welcome you to the show on a beautiful Saturday morning. Sun shining in northern Utah. Had quite a bit of moisture over just the last couple of days. Is just checking over all the rain totals. Altogether, about just over, between a quarter and a half an inch of rain.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Definitely love it. April showers, they say, bring May flowers, and when it comes in the form of snow, well, we just have to take it anyway.
We'll take that too.
Yeah,
we'll take that too.
We'll feel right along with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden for the Garden Guide here on this Saturday morning. A lot to get into this morning. We've got a special guest who's going to be joining us later on as we're going to be talking grasses, but the spring open house started earlier this week at Anderson Seed and Garden. I know we were over there yesterday, and it's just a busy time over at the garden.
It's always a fun time of year.
Yeah.
As we get close to the end of April, it's like, oh, we're doing the open house. That's right. It's like I forget about it because we get so caught up with spring and all the plants coming in, and we're doing the bare root sale and we're helping everybody get their lawns ready. And then the weather's been great, so we've had to kind of temper gardeners' expectations a little bit because they wanted to plant their tomatoes and their peppers, and I'm sitting there going, it's the 20th of March. No, we're not going to do that. Oh, but it's 75 degrees outside. This is great. It's like, yes, it is great. Enjoy it. But we're going to get a bunch of snow and some really cold temperatures in April, and voila, here we go.
And here we are.
It's like, hey, what'd you say, 22 this morning?
22, yeah.
22 this morning. So that's 2 days in a row, 22. And low 20s are kind of hard on a lot of those plants. A lot of times we can protect things if it's up in the high 20s, but low 20s, it's tough to do. So you don't have quite as much success trying to protect your plants at that temperature. So. But the weather looks great for next week, and even though we might get some more showers, weather looks great. And this weekend, I'm planning on putting my carrots and my beets, my chard, parsnips, and potatoes in because once it dries out just a little bit, it's going to be perfect for planting. And then we've got a lot of really nice bare root plants that just came in at Anderson. So there's bare root raspberries that came in, gorgeous plants, so really, really nice plants. And we've got some bare root strawberries, and there's still blueberries. I think we've got a few currants left as well too. But we're starting to pot up all the bare root fruit trees. Yeah, okay. So we've got some left, but we're starting to pot them up because they're all leafing out. And once we start to leaf out, they've just got to be potted up. Yeah. That's just all there is to it. However, we brought in a new soil this year to It's called hilling them in. So we have really big containers, and we put 10 trees, 15 trees in these big containers, and they're bare root. But we cover the roots up with soil so that they stay moist, and it really helps the trees get established. And once they start to leaf out, it doesn't dry out the roots or anything, so it stays nice and moist there. And for years we've tried different soils, and this year we brought a new one in from California, and it's unreal. Like the plants are just going crazy. And the company we got it from, I've been sending them photos of all the plants as we're pulling them out of this soil and how much root system they've grown in just a short time, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. And they've got brand new white roots on them that are 3-4 inches long. Wow. Yeah, they're just growing like crazy. And so I've been sending them pictures, and they just would email or text me back, and they're like, God, we've never thought about, using this as a medium to put bare root plants in. And they're just like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. We will start marketing this product for that particular use, because it's like, yeah, it's amazing. It's got a lot of coconut coir in there. It's got some composted barks, but they're really well composted, so they're very small. It's not like really chunky, and so it's got a really nice texture to it. Great drainage. They put some really slow release natural fertilizers in there. There's beneficial microbes. There's mycorrhizas, so it's like there's Bigfoot in there as well too. And oh man, the plants are they're going really crazy. We've never seen anything like it. Like we've been doing this for almost 30 years with our bare root sale, and never seen anything like it.
They're telling you, hey, thanks so much, Mark, for giving us the idea.
They really are. And I don't think it's the 70-degree temperatures either. It's the soil medium's keeping those roots nice and moist. And so when you take those home, we'll have you hydrate them up, have you soak them in Bigfoot or in the kangaroos, and just soak them overnight, really hydrate those roots up, and then transplant. And you've already got this massive root ball ready to go, just ready to take off. Yeah. Yeah. So we're very excited about it. Yeah,
so still a great time to be able to plant bare roots. Also, there are a few crops that can start going in the ground.
Yeah. Definitely. So I've got my onions and spinach and peas in right now, but a lot of people are planting cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli, radishes. I've got kohlrabi plants I'm going to take home and plant this weekend as well too, so I'm excited about that. Kale. Good to plant kale as well too. So all those cold crops, even if it snows or hits low 20s, it's like they're just fine and dandy. Yeah, I've got peas and onions out there in the garden. Looked at them this morning, and they're like, "Hey, good morning. How's it going?" It's like they handled the cold like no problem. Yeah. No problem. But it was fun yesterday to have you come over to the store and talk spring open house. Yeah. So it's always fun to have you there, and we do somehow find something to talk about.
And it was a lot of fun, especially considering we were joking. There was actually more snow on the ground this year for the spring open house than there was for the Christmas open house that we did back in November. It's just the way Mother Nature was this year. Yep. But before we get to our special guest, we should mention too, if you did start to see some fruit damage, okay, especially with blossoms, and we were out checking some of our apricots and our peach trees that, of course, had blossomed early, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
Because actually, in some cases, I know for both our peach tree and our apricot tree, if you eliminate a lot of those buds, that's going to just help the tree establish itself better this upcoming year.
It will. And it also thins a lot of the fruit out, too, because not all the tree blooms at the same time. And so unless you have 2 or 3 weeks of really, really cold temperature while they're in bloom, you might lose the blooms that are out right now, but in 5 days from now, you'll have more that open up, and they'll be fine. And they will have been resistant to the cold as well, too, because they're all bundled up nice and tight. And so it's not always a bad thing. And Mother Nature has a lot of backup systems and backups in the plan,
right?
So that this doesn't happen, because regularly we have frost while the trees are in bloom, and so it's not unusual for some of the blossoms to get damaged, but others are protected or they've already been pollinated, so that it doesn't eliminate your entire fruit crop. You might have a
little bit here and there,
a smaller crop, but in many cases, a smaller crop you'll have bigger, better, more delicious, more nutritious fruits as well too, instead of having to thin 500 fruits off your small little peach tree so it doesn't destroy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I've had to do the last 2 years. My poor tree has just been so loaded. I've thinned it and then thinned it and then thinned it one more time, and it still wasn't enough. Still didn't thin it enough. So, but that's the way it goes. Really great deals going on for the spring open house. So we've got 10-inch hanging baskets that are usually $30. They're on sale for $19.99. Take advantage of that this weekend. We've got gardening hats are 25% off. Got a great price on some 12-quart potting soil. Jumbo strawberries are on sale. I've got soaker hoses on sale, watering cans, herbs, wave petunias, geraniums. Lots of great prices on a lot of plants that you can either keep inside until the weather's a little bit better, or some of them you can actually plant like right outside right now. And then Super Kills Hall's on sale. So we've got a ready to use that's on sale, and also a concentrate. We've got Grass Killer. We've got great pricing on some of our fertilizers for our hanging baskets. So if you're doing our hanging basket program, great way to get a good price on our fertilizers that we recommend that you use in that hanging basket program. Great prices on tree and shrub drench. So if you've had problems with aphids in the past or borer in your quaking aspen, that systemic drench from Fertilum is on sale this weekend too. Right. So great pricing, a lot of good things happening, and tons of nice plants at Anderson's to come down and just hopefully feel like spring today.
Yeah. Oh, and it's going to start feeling like spring, especially looking ahead to next week, mid-70s.
Oh, it looks awesome. Yeah,
starting
looks awesome.
Monday.
And maybe another little storm. So
yeah.
We're not going to complain about little storms sneaking through, but it's not going to get down to like 20 degrees again.
Yeah. At least we hope not. Mother Nature always has.
We don't want any of that, but
as an alternative plan.
I would be surprised if we don't get snow again in May. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll be honest right now. It's probably going to snow.
Possible.
It's probably going to snow in May, and it's almost guaranteed it's going to freeze again in May. So just be prepared.
Plan on it.
Just be prepared.
Well, we have a special guest who's joining us for the Garden Guide on this Saturday morning. Doug from Agrono-Tec, who has been on the show with us a few times in the past, is on the line. And Doug, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show, Doug.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
It's always a lot of fun, and it's not coincidence that we had the Cache Water District on last week, and we were talking about lots of different ways to conserve water. And one of the programs that they're doing this year is a overseeding or a reseeding program where they're helping people here in Cache Valley, purchase new seed to replace their old turf or to incorporate into their old turf. So having you on the show today to kind of follow up with that, it's absolutely perfect because you do know a couple things about grass.
Well, thank you very much. Let's help Cache Valley save some of that precious water.
Exactly, and we're getting water, which is really nice because I live right close to Logan River, and it's not booming right now, but it's full. It's like there's a lot of water coming out of the canyon, so it's surprising how much water we've got coming out right now, and a lot of our reservoirs are full already, and we've probably hit our peak runoff this early. Usually it happens end of May, 1st of June, but I think we've hit peak runoff already. But you've got some really great options. And one of the grasses that we talked about with the Water District, we had Autumn from the Water District on last week. We talked about your Eden blend, which is highly drought tolerant, but also great for insect resistance and disease resistance and durability, and it still looks really good. What can you tell us about Eden that might entice someone to maybe replace their 30 or 40-year-old lawn with one of these newer grass blends?
Well, I invented that Eden blend back in the late 80s. There was a problem I was living in Southern California at the time, and started the business in Southern California. And the saw producers were planting straight tall fescue. And a problem with tall fescue is that it's not a creeping grass. So they would harvest that sod, and if there was any holes in the sod, they would throw it aside, and it would be basically put into a big pit in their sod farm and buried. And the losses were quite tremendous, and I suggested that they incorporate some bluegrass with their turf-type tall fescue to hold it together, to knit together, and it became a staple, and the loss factor was drastically reduced. Well, along with that process, we discovered that bluegrass does have a good attribute, and that's called drought avoidance. Turf-type tall fescue has drought tolerance, much better than bluegrass. But bluegrass has drought avoidance. And the difference between the two is that going into the drought, the bluegrass will go dormant prior to the tall fescue. But coming out of the drought, the bluegrass will green up sooner than the tall fescue. So therefore, the gap of the drought, if you will, the dormancy period, will be drastically reduced with a combination of both tall fescue and bluegrass living together in that geome. And so it's a great combination. As you hit upon, the tall fescue has a lot of bug resistance with its endophytes, very deep root system. It has better salt tolerance than bluegrass, better shade tolerance than the bluegrass, but it just does not creep. And we need that creeping ability that bluegrass brings to the party. So having both of those grasses blended together in a good proportion, taking into consideration seed count, there's only about 300,000 seeds in a pound of fescue and about 1 million seeds in a pound of bluegrass. So at the ratio that we blended those together, it makes for a very, very good environment. So you're going to have good wearability. We've when we came out and marketed it, we also discovered that it's an ideal lawn for kids and dogs. Dogs have urine problems, particularly female dogs, and it holds up very well to the dog urine of those female dogs because of the salt tolerance of the fescue. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful product, and it's been on the market for a long time, so nobody's a guinea pig.
Of course, the varieties have changed since the 80s. Just a little bit, yeah. So increased drought tolerance and increased insect resistance, and just that the nice colors that you're getting out of the fescues now are quite amazing. And then it's not as prickly and stiff bladed as some of those older fescues as well too.
No, yeah, exactly. We got to, it'd be like comparing an Edsel to a Ferrari. I mean, the improvements are just vast in these turf-type tall fescues. A lot of research has gone into them. And so in the seed industry, we hear and feel the pressure from environment to produce a lawn that doesn't grow as fast and doesn't need the water requirements and doesn't require the chemicals. And so that's what the plant breeders are doing. And so we're trying to survive. Our industry is trying to survive, and we're constantly coming out with better, newer varieties that are making lawn care much less of an impact on the environment. And so, so this drought is going to be a real blessing to many people, because some of the older varieties are not going to make it. They're not going to survive, and they're going to die off, and that's going to leave some vacancy in your turf, and you've got to fill that vacancy with some improved varieties. So when you're out there aerifying, as tradition does here in Utah, you've got a hole there that needs to be filled. If you don't fill it, then nature will fill it with dandelion weeds or something else. And so it's an excellent time after you aerify to sprinkle some seed, rake it in with a leaf rake so you get some seed to soil contact, and then use this moisture that we have currently to get that seed germinated and established before the summer heat comes.
Right. And then I've got a couple more questions for you, Doug, too, but we've got a phone call question that's coming through. So, Will?
Yeah, well, let's take Chris, who's joined us on the line from Logan. Chris, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I just love the show. We have an area that is shady all year long, pretty much, and it's just dirt now. There's no grass there. Can you recommend something that might germinate quickly but is good for shade?
What you got, Doug?
Well, that Eden, again, would be a great product. Turf-type tall fescue will germinate in 10 to 12 days, which is almost on par with perennial ryegrass. So before your trees get heavily leafed out and stuff, and there's still some sunshine coming through, I would get that going, and then you get it established. It'll tolerate some very shaded conditions.
Yeah, the Eden or our Mark's mix as well too, which is a turf-type fescue, turf-type rye mixture, which would do amazing as well too. And what we found is if you can get it planted early before, like Doug said, the leaves come out on the trees, that's a great time to do it. So I would take your rake and kind of rough that area up, broadcast your seed out there, rough it again with the rake, maybe a little roller, and then just a little bit of moisture every day to try and keep that damp, get that grass seed to germinate and come up. What we've also found is in shady locations, as the summer progresses and your shade tree gets denser, like the leaves get denser, so you have thicker and thicker shade underneath there. Mow your grass closer. As you mow closer, it will spread a little bit more. If you mow it tall, the roots will go really, really deep, and then it doesn't spread quite as much. So fertilize a little bit more underneath those trees, because the trees are stealing a little bit of the nutrient and the water from your grass. Mow shorter underneath those trees. That's really going to help a little bit. And then overseed with a little bit of grass every spring to make sure you have new grasses kind of filling in those empty spots. And it doesn't take a lot. You can just go out there and just broadcast a little bit over, just to make sure you have some new seedlings taking the place of some of the older ones that die out from the shade. Anything else, Doug? Yeah, sorry.
Is it too early?
Oh, great.
Too early to plant?
Great time right now. Once the leaves start coming out on the trees, It's like prime time for planting. Okay. So any other suggestions, Doug, you can think of?
No, those are very good suggestions. But, yes, I would tell Chris that sooner the better, kind of get a head start above those leaves that are getting established.
For sure. Anything else, Chris?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good luck with your grass, too. So,
thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that opens up a phone line at 753-5868. And Chris mentioned, well, I have a grass question. Well, any question that you have about your lawn, garden, plants, fruit trees, any questions, we can take those at 753-KVNU, 753-5868. Doug, you mentioned that this Eden mix started its development back in the 80s. It's amazing. You know, we've talked about it in the past. A lot of people oftentimes think about, oh, well, you know, my grass has always been with the house and I've never thought about changing it. But the technology of grass is changing like everything else. And if you haven't upgraded your grass in years, chances are the technology is very outdated, isn't it?
It's very outdated, and that's why I said that this drought can be a real blessing to us, because some older varieties just are not going to make it this summer. And we, rather than putting energy in trying to make them survive, we'd be wise to update our turf with these newer varieties of grass. If we did not mow our lawns and allowed them to go to seed and cross-pollinate and all that good stuff, they would produce new varieties themselves. But because of our mowing practices and our grooming practices, we never allow the grass to get to that point. So we've got to step in as managers of our environment and incorporate these new varieties of grass into our geome and help it along. We can eliminate a lot of outside impacts if we would just buy a bag of seed and put it out there and let Mother Nature do what it would do if we weren't on the planet. And that's cross-pollinate and create newer and better varieties. But again, our cultural practices, which goes back to our European heritage, you could say. And then, of course, sporting events that take place on turf, soccer and golf and other things. We want to mow it short and so the ball rolls and stuff like that. Well, then we gotta come in and help it along.
Yeah.
And that's what if you look at sports field management, of course, golf and football and soccer and baseball, and that's what these turf managers are doing constantly is aerification and slicing and overseeding. They're doing it constantly to keep that young vitality going in the turf.
Yeah.
And so, yes, homeowners, if you want to have a lower upkeep turf, when I say that, I'm talking about impacts on the environment. We want to reduce our water usage and bug impact and stuff. We've got to incorporate and get on an annual overseeding program. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
You're aerifying anyway. That's kind of a tradition here in Utah. And we got that going, and now we got holes in our turf. It looks like Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Well, you got to put something. You've got to put something in those holes.
Yeah. Otherwise, you get weeds.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just get weeds coming up. So.
Well, Doug, coming up here after the bottom of the hour break, let's talk more about just great ways that people can incorporate just overall maintenance into their yards. I think a lot of times people say, well, how often should I aerate? How often should I fertilize? How often should I overseed? So we'll take more of those questions and more of your calls. 753-5868. If you have a question for Doug from Agrono-Tec or Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. As it's 8:33, our bottom of the hour news break coming up in just a minute, and time for more of your calls next here on the Garden Guide here on KVNU. It's now 30 minutes after the hour, and with your KVNU local headlines, I'm Will Feelright. Well, a 35-year-old Ogden man is being held in the Cache County Jail without bail after allegedly fleeing from his employer and leading police on a slow-speed chase through West Logan. Now, Matthew David Rutherford appeared in Logan's 1st District Court on Friday, facing 3 third-degree felony counts of failing to stop at the command of police, plus misdemeanor DUI charges.
Now, the incident began Wednesday when Rutherford's employer suspected that he was consuming alcohol on the job and requested a clinic exam. Now, Rutherford allegedly refused and drove away in his pickup truck. Multiple agencies attempted to pull Rutherford over. He reportedly drove below the speed limit and obeyed stop signs while traveling along 10th West, but ignored emergency lights. Now, Cache County deputies eventually forced his vehicle to a stop. Noting a 2023 DUI conviction, a judge on Friday deemed that Rutherford was a danger to the community and ordered him to remain in jail. His next court appearance is April 27th. And a Pleasant Grove business owner alleges that Utah Representative Trevor Lee discussed using his political connections to secure government contracts in exchange for forgiving a $93,000 personal debt. Now, Trent Spofford, owner of the water filtration company known as Envive, said that he hired Lee as a sales representative back in June of 2023. Now, Spofford claims that the company gave Lee commission advances totaling about $93,000 to help the lawmaker qualify for a home loan. Now, to repay the debt, Spofford alleges that Lee promised to secure a $2.4 million government contract with a local school district and Hill Air Force Base. Now, Spofford said that the deals never materialized. Well, looking at warming temperatures over the next several days, I'm Will Fielwright for KVNU News.
Good morning. This is Chris Lewis. NBA play-in Friday, where it's the 8th seed in each conference determine who makes it into the playoffs bracket. And we start out west. Warriors trying to recapture that magic on the road, taking on the Suns. But it wasn't Draymond Green who was the star. Instead, it was the Suns' Jalen Green.
Booker using a screen. Now Santos picks him up defensively. Left-hand dribble, three-point line. Passes across the way to Green. Jalen's going to float it up and in. Jalen Green, red hot tonight in a game the Suns need to advance, and he has delivered with 36.
Mark Kessler with the call on ESPN Radio. Jalen Green's 36 points paces the Suns in their 111-96 win over the Warriors. They move into the bracket. They will take on the Thunder Sunday, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. The other playing game out east, the Magic had no problems with the Hornets. Huge first quarter en route to a 121-90 win. So the Magic, they will take on the 1 seed Pistons Sunday. That's at 6:30. It's the third consecutive playoff appearance for the Magic. To the Diamond, the Padres came in with a MLB high active 8-game win streak. That comes to a close. The Angels lock the door. 8-0 win over the Padres. Yankees, meanwhile, they double the Royals 4-2 thanks to Ryan McMahon's 2-run homer. Mets still can't get anything going. They lose their 9th straight and do it with a wide fashion. Cubs 12, Mets 4. Dodgers, they beat the Rockies 7-1. Orioles topped the Guardians 6-4. Phillies can't muster anything against the Braves. They lose the game 9-0.
Taking the guesswork out of gardening. It's the Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back to the show. 8:37 now on this Saturday morning. Will Fielwright along with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden, and Doug from Agrono-Technology is joining us on the line as our special guest, talking grass seeds this morning. And Doug, great to have you along with us. You bring so many insights when it comes to our lawn, and I think it's just something, as we were just talking about, that a lot of us take for granted. It's, the grass is always there. It's something that a lot of people just don't even think that you need to take care of your grass and your lawn, just like you take care of your fruit trees and your garden, everything else. It should be fertilized. It should be cared for. And is there a kind of a good blend of how often you should be, like, for example, aerating and fertilizing and taking care of your lawn?
Well, this year, aerification is going to be very, very important. Most people have a very compacted soil, a very hard soil, and proper water application is going to be very, very critical. but an important part of that is to get this water into the root system. And aerification is a great way to do that. Traditionally, we do one application of aerification. If we could step that up to 2 or 3 applications of aerification, that would be very beneficial. Get air and moisture down to those roots. And now another thing that I've seen in a lot of areas is how people have their irrigation systems. Mm-hmm. Remember that water runs downhill, so that if you have a sloped environment, those sprinklers that are on the lower side don't need to run as long as those sprinklers on the upper side, because the water will go downhill. So, and then if you don't have the ability to repipe your irrigation system, and you've got the low area on the same zone as the high area, you could change the nozzles on your sprinklers on the low side to put out a little less water than the sprinklers on the upper side. If you're watering for 30 minutes a night, and again you have a sloped area, you might want to run 3 cycles of 10 minutes each, so that water gets into the soil and doesn't run off. We've got to really manage our water runoff.
Now, coming back to aeration, you mentioned that it might be good. I know some of us it's been a few years since I've aerated, but would it be good to actually look at doing something where you aerate in both the spring and the fall?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Here again, on the professional side of turf management, aerification is going on quite often. Not only are there aerifiers that take the plugs out, but there's also aerifiers that kind of have a knife and make a slit, so there's no core generated. But it's when they're not coring, they're slicing, and it's all about getting air and moisture into that root system. So homeowners that are concerned about their water usage, some of the water bills are getting quite high and stuff. This is a process, if you do at least twice, you'll see a great improvement
in your water. Now we aerated last fall, and that's the time I like to do mine. But this spring, I put a water conservation product on there. It's called Hydratine, and so we put our Hydratine on early, and it's allowed us to not do anything to our turf. So it's just I as I drove down this morning, I looked at our lawn, and it's like it needs to be mowed because it looks so good right now. It's so dark green, but we went 3.5 weeks without any rain, and moisture, people's turf that had started to come out of dormancy kind of went back into dormancy, and ours just stayed green the whole time. So there's some real great products out there like Back to Green and Hydratine that you can use in conjunction with aeration to pull that water down into the soil, so you don't have that runoff, you don't have evaporation. It'll pull it down in the soil. Then it holds it there a lot longer, so that you just don't have to water as much. So when we have put that Hydratine on really early in the season, a lot of times I won't even turn our sprinklers on until June. It just helps the soil retain the water that it gets from Mother Nature. And as we get these storms that come through, the water lasts twice as long, and so it makes a huge difference. Do we get a phone call?
We do. Yeah. We have another caller joining us on the line, Kathy from Dayton. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. This is really interesting. I need to know this for my lawn, but I'm calling about raspberries. I came in yesterday and bought some of the heritage raspberries.
Yes.
How deep do you plant them?
So right where there's the root flare, where the roots kind of start to spread out off of the cane, usually we'll plant that about 1 inch to 2 inches below the surface.
Okay.
So not super deep. You don't want to just like really bury those canes, but you want that root flare to be just a couple inches below the surface. And with the raspberries, I'll usually recommend that you take them home, soak them, in just plain water for 24 to 48 hours, or root stimulator. The kangaroo roots would be amazing. Bigfoot would be awesome. It'll really get those root systems going. Get your plants hydrated up after they've been in storage for months, and get them prepared and ready to go. And then while you're doing that, you can prep your area where you're going to plant your raspberries, and just work some nice compost into the soil as well too, so it's not heavy. Loosen that soil up, and they should just take off like crazy.
Okay, so it's going to be really cold tonight again. Should I wait until Monday to plant them? I did put them in the water with kangaroo.
Great. The raspberries, I like to hydrate mine 24 to 48 hours, so it'd be fine if you waited till Monday. That'd be no problem. But those berries, they'll be fine. If it gets down in the 20s, they'll just shrug it off and water off a duck's back. So.
Okay, maybe I'll put them in today then. I just didn't want to have to worry about them.
Not going to damage them, and they've actually been kept in. The heritage just came in yesterday, so your timing couldn't have been better. And they've been kept in a refrigerator for the last 2 or 3 months from our vendor that we buy them from. So they're used to the cold already.
Good, because they're getting it.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for calling, Kathy. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
And phone lines are open, 753-5868, if you have a question, comment for Mark at Anderson Seed Garden or Doug from Agrono-Tec. And Charles has been holding on the line from Hyde Park. Charles, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I have a question for Mark. I have some lamb's ears that I would like to transplant. Are they transplantable?
They sure are.
And also, I noticed they're really drought tolerant. If I planted those around underneath my, I've got Canadian choke cherry trees. When I have to water the trees, and lamb's hair will take some of the water up, then is that a good choice to put under there?
They do like a lot of sun, so they're more of a sun lover, but they can handle partial shade. So they should do great right there. And you're right, they're very resilient when it comes to less water, and so that should be great. And they will transplant just fine right now. So you can transplant them like immediately. I'd do it in the next week or two before things kind of start to warm up. Otherwise, you could wait and do it in September, October. And that would be sensational as well too. So if you want to do it now, do it as quickly as you can while we are getting cooler temperatures and getting all this moisture. This is like great. This is exactly what we need.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Charles. You have a great weekend.
Oh, you bet. You too.
All right. Thank you.
And still time. We could take a few more calls at 753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. We're talking with Doug from Agrono-Tec, and just a few minutes ago we were mentioning that I think all of us probably definitely need to improve the care that we give to our yards when it comes to aerating, but also fertilizing and overseeding. How often do you recommend, Doug, that we should be fertilizing our lawn and overseeding?
Well, fertilization, to do it properly, I think it's important to know what you need to fertilize with. And I'm sure that Mark can help us with soil testing. And if you knew what the soil needed, then you could apply the proper fertilizer. And again, in order to conserve water, if you can slow down the growth rate of the plant, it won't use as much water to grow. So fertilization is very important, and Mark can help you with the right combination of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. Now, if you're going to be overseeding, a little bit more phosphorus would help that new seedling to get established.
Okay.
Yeah, proper NPK and the micronutrients, and Mark can definitely, he's very knowledgeable of the soil types in Cache Valley, but having a little soil sample done periodically will give you a little more guidance as to what would be the good fertilizers.
Doesn't hurt, yeah. Early spring, like right now when people are overseeding, we really do recommend like a balanced fertilizer, like a 16-16-16, because it has a little bit of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in there to really get your turf healthy, but also to help these new seedlings as they get established. So great way to fertilize your new lawn that you just planted or new seed that you just put down as it starts to germinate. And then when it gets hot in the middle of summer, we always transition our customers to a high, slow-release nitrogen with less phosphorus, but a high potassium to help with that water uptake as well, too. So like our 23-316 is kind of our go-to for the summer. Sulfur is always great to add in there as well, too. So I know Fertilum's Green Maker is very similar to the 23-316, but it has a lot of sulfur in there as well too, and that sulfur really helps keep your lawn green and looking good, brings the soil pH down a little bit, frees up a lot of other nutrient to your grass as well too. So 16-16 early in the spring, and then when you transition to a 23-316 during the summertime, that really does assist with water absorption and uptake on the grass as well too, with that higher potassium. So not too bad.
Yeah, this morning prior to being on the air here, I went out and worked on my hot tub a little bit, up the water. And, it's essential to keep that pH proper in your hot tub so that things stay in balance. And that same principle is true in turf management. You really want to keep that pH close to 7.0, 7.2 or wwhatever, because too much salt makes it difficult for the plant to absorb other nutrients. So,
True.
And so it is critical to every once in a while check the pH of your soil so that you're making other nutrients, sulfur and magnesium and the micronutrients are also very important. You talk about sulfur. Sulfur combines with oxygen and creates a great fungicide for the plant to defend itself against funguses and stuff. So, yeah, Mark, you're dead on when you talk about altering your fertilization practices during the summer based upon the heat and those things. So it is critical.
Existing conditions. I love the hot tub. I love the hot tub analogy, and we've used some great analogies today as well too. So use the car analogy about technology on the grass and the hot tub as well too. And I just kind of look at it the same way as like some of our computers at Anderson's are running some older versions of Windows that are about ready to like go away,
crash. Yeah,
and you're forced to upgrade to the new technology almost. But we never force anybody to change some of their old landscape technology. And maybe we should like charge subscriptions too, Doug. What do you think about that? So
an expiration date on your grass
Everybody
seed.
else charges subscriptions. Yeah. So if you buy this software, you're going to have to pay for it for the rest of your life now to be able to use it. No, we don't do that with landscape, but I think it's a great suggestion to really remind people. It's like, no, we should be upgrading and incorporating a lot of this new technology, because turf is really good for our environment. It does a lot of great things. It filters dust and dirt out of the air. It helps water that we do receive from Mother Nature get absorbed down into the soil instead of running off and going somewhere else. It pulls that moisture down in. It cools our environment. It creates oxygen. And it is low maintenance. I mean, if you're not applying insecticides and weed killers and fungicides all the time, it's really low maintenance, and it really is good for our environment. It's just we've used a lot of grasses that need a lot of water, and if we can change those out and incorporate new grasses in there that give us the color and the feel and the texture that we really want, but then it uses 50% less water. Just imagine how much water. And Autumn is supposed to get those numbers for me, but I asked her last week. I said, "What if we got everybody to use 50% less water, on their landscape? How much would that be in Cache Valley? How much would that be?" And she's like, "I'll find out." And so I can hardly wait. I can't wait to find out, because if everyone decrease their water by 50% in their yard just by spending a little bit of money. We're talking $30 to $50 per 1,000 square feet. I mean, it'll pay for itself basically in the first month of water use. I mean, if everybody would do that, how much water is that? I mean, I'm thinking hundreds of acre feet.
I'd like to interject something else that kind of a patriotic element here, that those who are spending the money on water to create a beautiful environment is really they are really helping the community, because you hit upon it, dust control and heat and air, creating air and stuff. If we eliminate these green plants and go for rocks and things that radiate heat, we're going to be in a world of trouble. And so these people who do have nice lawns and trees and shrubs and stuff that are cooling our environment, they are really doing a good neighborly act for all of us. They are really helping us, and we need to help them in their course to save some water by doing some cultural practices and stuff. But I think we should applaud these people who are kind of going against the grain right now and going with the greenery and not the rock. And so I just want to thank everyone for staying with the green program.
Yeah,
we like green. Yeah. Trees. The more trees we can plant, the better it is for our environment.
Absolutely.
The more shrubs and the more we beautify with plants, it really does help. But there are ways we can do it to use a lot less water, whether we're using a drip system or a soaker hose instead of a sprinkler, or if we're incorporating new varieties of turf grasses into our landscape, so we don't have to water as much. So I think it's a significant amount of water that we can conserve just by investing a little bit of money into some new turf grasses. So, Doug, I think our show's about up.
Only got about 2 minutes left, so really appreciate you joining us, Doug.
Thank you so much for being on the show this morning and your insight into turf and how to manage our turf and how to incorporate new grasses into our existing turf. Super valuable, Doug.
Thank you very much. Visit with you later.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So let's remind everybody that it is a spring open house at Anderson Seed and Garden this weekend. We've got some great deals on a lot of different things. We've got watering cans on sale. I've got a really nice 50-foot soaker hose that's $19 instead of its usual $30. We've got hanging baskets on sale. We've got herbs, geraniums, wave petunias. We've got strawberries. They're all on sale for our open house this weekend. We've got, Doug won't like this, grass killer. We've got grass killer on sale. But when that grass gets out of control and goes into your flower beds, it's a weed. Yeah. It's no longer staying in its location where it's supposed to stay. So we gotta get rid of it. We've got some Killzalls on sale. I've got ready to use weed free zone on sale as well too. So some great deals happening at Anderson Seed and Garden this weekend, and a lot of bare root plants as well still.
And then also a quick reminder, too, next week is the spring planting event, and you can sign up if you stop by Anderson Seed and Garden, because it always fills up next week. So you can sign up at Anderson Seed and Garden this week when you stop by for the spring open house, or you can also sign up online as well. So thanks so much for Doug joining us from Agrono-Tec, and for our callers, we hope you join us again next week here on The Garden Guide on KVNU.
The station for news and talk. KVNU Logan, 610 AM